Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Talk.
A real Celtic talk show by real Celtic fans from the Carluke Shamrock Supporters Club on Hail Hail Media.
Tic Talk, Tic Talk, Tic Talk, 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 Talk.
Hail, hail, and welcome to Tic Talk with Carluke Shamrock Supporters Club. My name's Vincent, and this podcast has been recorded on Monday the 12th of November 2012. You can find more information about the club at carlukeshamrock.com and details of the podcast and other Celtic family podcasts at hailhailmedia.com. So here we are, the boss is off, it's dressed down Monday, and we've got an empty. Poor misguided Richard has left his treasured possession with us bampots. And our panel of bampots tonight are
Kieran,
Johnny, Mr. C,
Stephen.
So a big thank you to Richard for wheeling out the big boys for my first podcast, the intelligentry I'm calling them. None of your tabloid guff here. So, right, we've got a busy agenda to get through, so let's start with Barcelona. OMG, how good was that? Are you still buzzing, Stephen?
Still buzzing, absolutely floating. Yep. I don't think there's ever been as much material has come out the back of a game either. All the stuff that I'm still getting emailed, photos still getting emailed, video clips that have gone all around the world, stuff from the Barca fans starting to find its way across to us as well. Absolutely outstanding. I was trying to kind of put it into context. Obviously you come out of these occasions and you think, God, that was just the best ever, and it really was, really high up there. But I've been thinking over the last couple of days and trying to context it in terms of my Celtic experiences over 30 odd years, and it's top five. Absolutely
Top five for you?
Top five, absolutely amazing, out of this world.
What do you rank above it? Other than maybe Seville.
Well, it's top five. I don't know where I would position it in the top five, but my top five would be obviously Seville. The whole early season for me was massive.
And stop the ugly hands from doing 10.
The stop and 10 goal, and my other kind of one-off occasion, if you like, that's still really highly up there for me is when we went to Anfield and Big Hartson scored. That's probably my Celtic moment, just seeing the ball crashing into the net that night.
A few other folk had mentioned Anfield.
That really is.
Walking to Anfield.
I can still close my eyes and see that goal. It was just incredible. But I think the whole occasion, not just the fact that we got the result that we got, but just everything surrounding the whole occasion. The fact that obviously it was the 125th birthday, the atmosphere, the fans' display, the fact even in terms of our team selection, we were weakened for the night. They were completely star-studded. I mean, they had their big guns out and their big guns on the bench as well. And it was just, you look through the team. I scribbled the team down earlier, and you look through the team, and every single one of them just absolutely played completely out of their skin.
So we'll come on to that, we'll come on to the team, but Mr. C, for you,
well,
is it right up there?
Well, with Stephen mentioning it's up there with him, I mean, obviously I can go back maybe another 30 years on, Stephen.
Maybe not 30.
Well, I want to say no. But then, again, it's how you feel at the time and what it means, and the whole atmosphere at Celtic Park was unbelievable, as we all noticed and seen. I go back, I wasn't at Lisbon, but watching it on television.
So is that your best atmosphere? Is that your best atmosphere?
Probably the best atmosphere at Celtic Park.
Uh-huh.
Apart from winning the league, stopping the 10 in a row, and the emotions on that day. Rod Stewart didn't have a look in. But, as Johnny mentioned, 7-1. 7-1 was just before I started going to Celtic Park as much. It just beat me. You know, all I could remember about that was people singing 7-1. But Lisbon on the telly, Seville being there, a big game to me, going back, that really meant a lot was the semi-final, the game against Vojvodina. When we went through with Vojvodina, big Billy's goal at the end of that game. That blows me away all the time.
I mean, a lot of the chat is about that being possibly the best Barcelona, the best team ever. Do you agree with that?
Well, everybody says that I mean, even your what do you call them? I don't want to say too much, or Kevin will give me a doing. But the Daily Record and all these bampots on there, you know, they're no word they be called bampots. But what Kevin calls them is probably right. But
Oh, sorry, Quincy, right, sorry.
they're talking about Barcelona being, what do you call them, the greatest team in the world at the moment. Now, they admit that. You know, so we weren't playing nothing.
Johnny?
I agree with Stephen. Next to the games he said, Love Street always would be a favourite for me as well. But it's definitely up there, top 5, no doubt about it. And Anfield as well, I would agree with that one.
Aye. So best Parkhead result then? Or best atmosphere at Parkhead? You know the one I remember is actually, remember when they nearly blew the radio off?
Aye, that was against
George
Against
Cadet.
Aberdeen, aye.
George Cadet,
Cadet
aye.
scored, remember?
The atmosphere
The
was
noise
tremendous.
that day, but...
I think the Green Brigade with their show before the game, that made it a bit special. I can remember great atmospheres, but that maybe topped it.
See, we
For
weren't
that
sure
night.
where we were sitting, what exactly was going on, because we were
Well-
and obviously in amongst it.
They done well because
Yeah.
I spoke to a couple of them up at Tannadice and they wouldn't. I asked them what the display would
Kept
be,
it quiet.
and they kept it quiet.
Aye, good on them.
So it was superb. I loved it. I loved the day, the night after the game. It was a great feeling. Obviously, when we beat Real Madrid, I wasn't aged to go into the pub and a couple of pints. No, but it was great to go in.
You just had a couple of
the
pints
other
outside
night,
the pub.
aye, and everybody with a smile on their faces, and the folk just coming down to the pub that obviously seen it in the telly. So it was a great night.
Fantastic, yeah.
If start to finish was one of I put it as probably the best European result I've seen at Celtic Park as a Celtic supporter. Just even the lead up to the game, even the kind of Tuesday night, having the anniversary mass, which unfortunately I didn't manage to get to, but Brian did, and everything that I seen kind of reported about that, and kind of was giving you goosebumps in the lead up to the game on the Wednesday, and then as Johnny says, the display by the Green Brigade. But as well, what struck me on Wednesday evening was Celtic Park was full 15 minutes before kick-off. I don't think I've ever seen that. I remember in kind of the old Parkhead, and the Jungle used to always fill nice and early, but there would always be space at the Celtic end or the Rangers end. But on Wednesday night, the stadium was jam-packed with 15 minutes to kick-off, and then the display happened, and then 20 minutes into the game we're kind of 1-0 up. Then we get the goal in the second half, and then they scored in the first minute of injury time, and we're sitting on the edge of our seats, and then the final whistle goes, we all go daft, and then even getting back to the bus, and we're all kind of cuddling each other outside the bus, getting on the bus, and then as Johnny says, coming back and going to the pub, and even people, or guys who are on the bus who would never normally go for a pint after the game. Everybody was going for a pint. It was just like the automatic reaction whenever we all get back was, "Oh, we'll need to go somewhere and enjoy this for a wee bit longer." So
For me, I think there was a delayed. I'm not really sure if that actually happened, and a genuine. Did we actually just beat Barcelona there? And I felt that for even a wee bit. Was that a real pinch yourself moment? Actually, did we just do that? And it didn't sink in actually until well into the next day. I was like, went for a couple of pints, then went home, didn't have a lot to drink, and then sat and watched the game again and just revelled in it. It was just brilliant.
That's what's so good about all the material that's still floating around and still getting pinned across there. It's I mean, we're almost a week since the game now, and it's still floating high.
I mean, the longer Kieran was talking there, the more excited I was getting again.
No, it was great, but yeah, I came out of the game and I'd taken my work phone with me because there was stuff happening that I had to keep a track of, and I came out of the game and I looked at my phone, and I work with quite a lot of guys based down in London, and every one of them was emailing me and IMing me saying, what a result, we've just seen the goals, looked fantastic. And then they were going on about the Green Brigade thing before the game. They're like, that was just amazing, they've never seen anything like it. So the amount of coverage we've got worldwide,
Actually, it's funny that I was
from
listening
that result is just phenomenal.
Sorry, I was listening to Beyond the Waves Down Under, and that's exactly what they were saying. They were saying, like, in these far-flung, parts of Australia, he said, one of the guys, I can't remember his name, one of the guys said, it's in our local kind of free rag. He says, that, there's never any soccer ever in that, he said, but it was in there. And our guy's saying, last time I was ever in somewhere like, South America, everywhere you go, they will always have a Barcelona game on, no matter who they're playing. So you can imagine that's the kind of exposure you're getting as well. You're sitting watching Barcelona, and we've just beat Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely brilliant. Just on the, can we start? Let's start with the lineup then. What did you think of the lineup? Any surprises in there, given that we had some injuries, obviously?
I heard the team. I was a bit spooked out when I heard the side. Scott Brown not playing obviously was a surprise. I think the news of the guys like Cooper and Easy not playing, that had obviously come out during the course of the day. So the big surprise was obviously when we heard Brown wasn't playing, and then saw the kind of lineup with Miku starting.
That was one of the biggest surprises for me, was that it went with Miku, because I thought he would have went for the kind of one up front. Even though the one up front was kind of Miku, I thought the one up front would have been Samaras. And we would have kind of went with an extra man in the middle of the park, along with Wanyama and Ledley. So that was one of the surprises for me as well.
Funny enough, in the way in, I said to Sammy, I think it was, I wouldn't be surprised, or actually what I said was the fact that Hooper isn't fit, because if he was, he would definitely play. I actually thought it wouldn't be a bad thing, because actually the person that I would have wanted to play is somebody who had played Barcelona before and played well against them.
I'm not convinced he would have played Hooper if he was fit, even if he was fit.
You reckon?
I think a couple of European games he's not played Hooper, he's put Hooper on the bench.
I think he can hold the ball up better than Hooper. So Hooper, what do you call him? Miku. He's got a good touch on the ball when he's got his back to the defender. Whereas sometimes Gary Hooper has got a touch like a volley.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's what happened in the Nou Camp. That's what happened in the Nou Camp. It just kept pinging off him. Here's a question for you that I checked up, and I think it came from one of the podcasts. Who in the Celtic team ran the most? I think it was 12 or 13 kilometres. Who do you think it was?
Scott Brown.
Chris
Collins.
Right, country.
Kevin, wasn't that?
Kevin, I love you for that.
Syphilis, Kevin.
He was running. I would have said Commons.
Comments, Jim?
Maybe Matthews.
Okay.
Sammy.
Miku ran something like just under 13 kilometres, followed closely by Joe Ledley.
Joe Ledley.
I was quite surprised at that. I remember seeing Miku and thinking he's covering a bit of ground, but I wouldn't have thought he'd covered the most ground out of every player. It's quite surprising.
I kind of thought Joe Ledley would have covered a lot of ground because, excuse me, just before the second goal went in, Ledley looked as if he was dead in his legs, and then the second goal went in, and I think that just gave the whole team a lift, and Ledley kind of kept on going. But at one point, I kind of said to Kevin and Brian, I'm like, Joe Ledley's struggling a bit, and I thought at that point Commons was struggling a bit as well.
Well, who else? And this is the one where I'll show my ignorance. Who else was screaming at Commons to get on that guy on the touchline? Alba. We were all, every single to a man round about us was saying, "Look at him! You're leaving him out there." He was on the touchline, hugging the touchline, and Commons deliberately wasn't he? Well, at this point, I thought, Commons, you're just being lazy there. Do you not get yourself? But it was actually a deliberate tactic.
That was the tactic.
It was to be very narrow, and it was to leave him out there on his own. But it was actually everybody around about us were going mental about it.
Because they don't want to cross the ball into the box.
Exactly.
They want to get you in the edge of the box. And the way they've scored their 2 goals against us, or the 3 goals, it's just I'm saying that, not the second one, and the Nou Camp was a cross into the box, but that's how they score most of their goals. We tippy
But
tappy
they
at the
were
edge
absolutely,
of the box.
even when that guy got the ball and he was in a good crossing position, he refused to cross the ball. And it took me about I know I'm a bit thick, it took me about half an hour to realise that actually this was deliberate and actually that this was a good tactic because it was
It's funny you
working.
should say that, by the
It
way,
was
'cause
working.
Paul Larkin and that were going about the
That's
same
right,
thing.
aye,
He says that the people round about him that are no normally at the game were all going after that this Chris Commons not going out to mark this guy, but that was
I
part
just
of
didn't pick it up at
the
all.
tactic.
Yeah. And
Which
actually,
is-
what? Sorry, Steve.
Which is all the more remarkable given how they kept the shape when, you know, they can probably sense from the crowd that, I should maybe be
Exactly.
out there chasing.
Aye.
You know, the players were just so, I mean, they stuck to their tactics impeccably. It was
discipline
such a
was good,
disciplined
aye.
performance.
Discipline.
It was, and, you know, again, looking at the side, you look at each individual player and it really is difficult to choose a man in the match.
As you when you think
You
about
know-
it, I would have picked. If I had to pick one, I would have picked the wee left back. I honestly
Adam
think he's
Matthews.
going to be.
I thought he was outstanding.
I mean,
And actually, do you know that? Sorry, Johnny, but the other thing that he did, and we'll come on to it later on, when he made the change, he kept him there. And again, this shows my ignorance. I was thinking, what are you doing? You know, you've got to move him. What are you doing? He left him there, and he was outstanding.
He didn't get beat all night.
No,
he never.
he stays on his feet.
And his turn, see when you think he is beat, he's got that recovery turn at
Aye, he
pace
gets
that
back,
is
aye.
absolutely remarkable. I thought he was. I think, if you were to choose one, and it almost feels that you can't choose one because they were all absolutely magnificent, including the subs. But if you were to choose one, I think he would
Aye, I
he would
definitely-
probably shade
I
it
would,
for me.
Aye, because he's playing out of position as well.
Aye, that's the thing that was quite remarkable actually. That he was on the other side, and actually he played that well that he kept him on the other side. Shades,
I've been raving about
Shades,
Danny
Shades,
McGrain. I don't like to see
See,
it.
that's what
I'm
I
sure I mentioned that on
That's
the
what I was
podcast
thinking.
before, but
That's what I was thinking. Actually, watching him, you just think, you know, he's definitely got it. And actually, it is difficult for a player to do that, to go to the other side and play as well. Remember, Tom Boyd just did it quite well as well. He could do either side.
It might be it's Danny McGrain because Danny's there now.
Aye, imagine that. Danny
Danny's
gets
shouting
it.
at him.
he's in field.
Aye.
But didn't look out of place anyway. But that's good because it's an area where they struggle.
The other thing, John, I think you and I spoke about it in the bus, or I'm sure we did after it, where I'd noticed, I don't know if anyone's noticed, the first free kick that we had. And out in the left, I think it was, and Mulgrew was lining up to swing it in. And it was really quite a strange, it was far enough out for what you would expect the team to line up, just edge of the box, if you like. You would think that's about that distance. You know, all the players would line up about the edge of the box. Barcelona would hold us there. And they held us about 5, nearly 10 yards in front of that.
They did.
So that it was a real, you know, and it was a real signal there. But for me, that they were actually quite scared. The ball coming in and the height that we had. So maybe that was a kind of signal for.
But Celtic done well at that point because they didn't just lump it in. They played a couple of passes.
They
Then
did. They
Charlie
played it
lumped
wide.
it in.
That's right. They did.
I don't know if maybe that Barcelona have done that before and the manager's picked up on it.
Possibly.
No.
Aye. So what about, talk us through the first goal then, Johnny? Talk us through Victor Wanyama.
Well, see, if you can remember back, there were three Barca players on about and they won the ball. Strong in the tackle. And he played it out wide to, I think it was Sammer. No, it wasn't. It was Lustig. Lustig tried to get a cross in. And it was going out for a corner, but one of them put it back up the park. We went into Wanyama again. Wanyama's clattered the boy and Celtic get the throw, which led to the corner to the goal. But you see them looking about at the edge of the box. And
A lot of folk were saying actually that there was a feeling, you know, and more than one for somebody just to say I knew it was coming, but there was a feeling before that corner that actually, and interesting, I don't know if anybody, if you've not the chance, go and watch or pause on Lennon, right, and see the timing, right. You can tell by everybody behind Lennon and the crowd when the ball goes in to the net, and see a split, well, more than a split second, but a good second before, Lennon is actually starting to celebrate as if, and the ball must be on its way in, kind of thing. And so obviously it's a pre-arranged thing.
Oh, aye,
he's watching it, and then he does that thing he always does. You know, he headers it in his cell, Lennon.
When Yama made his run for the edge of the box, like, I mean, he made a good run. There were 3 or 4 of them mingling about. I see Sammy was talking, and
But he was very clear after it saying we were trying to isolate Wanyama on whatever one of the fullbacks it was. I can't remember what
Just
one
glad
it
it wasn't Lennon that
It was
was
Alba or
else it
Alves.
wouldn't have went in.
What's his name?
I don't know. Is it Alves or Alba? It was one of the two.
Alves is the right. Danny Alves, he's a right
Jordi
back.
Alba, wasn't it?
Is
He
it
was-
Alba?
I think
Alba,
so,
aye.
So just isolated him and he just...
I gave him a wee arm up.
Forearm smash.
Aye, buried it. It was a cracking goal.
He got up some height.
He did.
A wee bit reminiscent of Big Billy getting up. So just some force right on it and all.
Reminded me a wee bit of the goal that we got against the Zombies last season. Mulgrew, the kind of deep
Aye.
corner,
that's right,
aye.
deep
It
corner.
was
to
very
the-
similar.
Mulgrew's was a
Back
bit
post.
more, was a
Kinda
bit more
diagonal.
obvious, wasn't it? Because everybody was thinking, look at Mulgrew.
Aye.
Do you know? And then
Well,
when he was on his way, because he ran probably a wee bit further.
Aye, but
Yeah.
the delivery in the ball as well. Lennon obviously saying that Charlie's, what was it he said, best dead ball
Aye, getting about.
player in Britain
Well,
at the moment.
this was another discussion I was having. I was wanting to ask the footballers amongst you, but I can't see any, so I'll just ask you anyway. What is it about Charlie Mulgrew's delivery then? What is it? It's not. Is it pace? What
I'll
is it?
take you back to a game when he played for Aberdeen. Was it 4 each or was it 4-2
He
Aberdeen
scored,
beat
he
Celtic?
scored a free
Aye,
kick.
we
that day,
were
no?
4-2 up and they get
And he had
He scored a free kick and he also made
made
two
the
of their
three,
goals.
I'm
Aye.
sure, with his delivery into the box.
remember.
His delivery's...
But what is it about it? Is it pace? Is it
No,
accuracy? Is
he puts the ball in the right
Aye.
areas of the box and he can do it consistently.
He
So-
puts it into an area for somebody to attack instead of trying to put it on somebody's...
Whenever you were playing football and you were getting told to cross the ball, you were always told to put. If you can drop the ball between the 6-yard box and
Aye.
the penalty spot, then and somebody's
Up to
attacking
the
it,
forward
it's
or
a
up to
goal.
somebody that's
And I
supposed to do
think
it.
Charlie McGrew can consistently deliver the ball into the box in the right areas
Into
for,
the area.
for guys kind of who.
But I think
can
it's a
run
wee
on
bit
it
more
and
than
attack
that as well. I think
Aye,
it's exactly that.
he's
But
got the exact
with the right
pace on the
pace,
ball.
aye, and the right angle. It seems to come in at a kind of unnatural angle, if you know what I mean. Do you know, it seems to come in at a kind of, it's not a kind of up and looping and down. It seems to kind of come in a bit like a bullet. But it's, you know, it's got some sort of curve on it, and you're right, Kieran, it's in the exact spot where you want it.
Oh, he's a great left foot on him, no doubt about it.
We're quite fortunate because we've got wee Commons can strike a lovely dead
Aye.
ball as well. His corners are. I always think a left footer always looks classier as well, doesn't he?
It just looks better, doesn't
Just,
it?
it does.
It's funny that the left footers do.
So any other highlights? What else happened at the first half? Was that it? We just scored a goal, we contained them. Doddle, half time.
Save for Forster onto the bar from Messi was absolutely
That was, he's
first
just got it on the
class.
fingertip.
That was just after we'd scored as well, wasn't it?
That was before, I think.
Was it before, was it?
Aye. They had a couple of chances. Messi twice, I think.
And the one you're talking about, I think, with the goal, I think he had very little room, and it was a bit like a toe poke almost, wasn't it? When he got it through, and he had absolutely no room to manoeuvre it. And again, Foster, outstanding.
Aye, brilliant, superb. And one of the saves in the second half was out of this world.
Aye, the one for Messi.
Oh,
He just
the
gave to
left hand.
nowhere.
what a save.
Oh, it looked as if the ball was getting in the back of the net, and all you seen
It
was
just
just
appeared.
this big hand palmed it round the
Well,
boot.
the thing about it was it wasn't the hand, he saved it with the
Forearm.
forearm, no. I mean, some power to save that. Because he cracked it, Messi, it was a cutback. And then he had another cracking save. A double save. He saved one.
Aye, so he
and then
did.
he saved
Saved
it
it
with his
with
foot
his
again.
Aye. He was unfortunate with the goal as well. It was a brilliant save at the goal, wasn't it?
Aye,
It just
aye.
so happened it kind of went straight to Messi.
I would have liked to see him put that one by the post.
But the
The one he saved for
Aye.
Messi's
Aye.
goal. He's got a good hand in it.
Aye.
He pushes it out.
Came at him quick though.
Aye, of course, aye, I'm not blaming him, but
So they push it, he did push it out. He didn't push it. Sometimes he's been guilty of pushing balls in front of him.
Pushing it
But
back
he
in.
pushed it out, and there was another Barcelona player moving in on it, but there was a Celtic player next to him, and Messi just appeared again. And if Messi hadn't jumped in on it, I don't think the other boy would have scored. I think either a Celtic player would have got a foot in, or Big Fraser would have got him. And Messi just come onto it that quick, just dinked it in.
So how you feel in the first half then? It wasn't. Do you think it was a procession in Barcelona, or were we getting as good as we?
see, I'm
we go?
not having that, by the way. I watched the game again. When they've got the ball, all right, they've got the ball, but they're keep possession, fair dues, but they're not.
No
You would think the ball's getting off the crossbar, it's close shot and goal. It's not happening. But when Celtic were getting the ball, we were getting to them.
We looked
We were
dangerous,
attacking
didn't
them.
we? Yeah.
We're looking dangerous.
I mean, they could take the ball for 2 minutes. But for a minute and 50 seconds, that ball's going back the way, going across the back four, until they get to the edge of the box when they try to do the wee quick 1-2s.
Because they only did create 2 clear-cut chances in that first half. The one, and even I wouldn't even say the one where they hit the bar was a clear-cut chance, maybe. But the other one with the header, where the boy kind of put it back across goal, and
Which interestingly
was
was the
just clipped
only.
the side of the post.
It's the only time I can remember them crossing the ball all night.
Yeah, and the striker, I think it was that Pedro, was it?
No, it was the number 9, Sanchez.
Oh, was it Sanchez? Had just found the space in between our 2 centre backs. He actually stood in between the 2 centre backs, and as the ball was coming in, he ran behind. I think it was Big Wilson, and managed to just kind of flick it back across. And we were lucky to get away with that one because the striker done really well. Kind of evaded both defenders, but as you say, they didn't have many other cross balls into the box other than that, and I thought we contained them pretty well in the first half. I was glad to make it to half time.
I mean, for the uneducated amongst us, but for me, it just seemed as if Barcelona just were not going to
Score.
or weren't going to try anything different. Because the longer when I started to realise our tactics and what they were actually doing and how tight they were squeezing it, they seemed very, very reluctant to change anything when they actually knew that Celtic's tactics were working. You know, they were containing them. They were actually very obviously leaving this guy out wide and just leaving him out there. And they didn't seem. Is that the Barcelona weakness?
You very rarely see Barcelona change anything. They're so confident with the way they play that they don't change anything. It's so. I mean, 99 times out of 100, the way they play comes off. Nobody's going to deny that. But some more change things.
Even you said every now and again you'll get this wee bit of frustration where they'll cross a ball. But surely with the guys they've got, crossing a ball isn't a bad thing every now and again. But they seem really reluctant to do that.
But they'll take a corner and put it back to the halfway line, no bother.
Just to keep possession.
Keep possession. No, I mean, every game Barcelona play, they're getting 75% of the possession, no matter who they play.
Some of your possession stats for this game were better than Man United and Chelsea when they played Barcelona. Is that what I mean? But you get stuck for it. So we got to half time then. What were you thinking at half time? What just happened there?
Just another 45 minutes to go.
I'm starting to kind of wonder whether the dream could actually come true and they could make it through the game. But to make it to half time, I was a bit relieved from what had probably caused by what had happened in the Nou Camp where they'd scored a minute before half time. I thought, get the team in, let Lennon sit them down and get them organised again and then get them pumped up for going back out. And I thought our second half display was phenomenal. It was different to the first half, where in the first half I think we'd done more, it was all about containing them. In the second half we started to stretch them a bit, but I think they came out to play in the hope that we would maybe get caught kind of up the park, and they were allowing us to play a bit more than what they maybe were in the first half. But I just thought our second half performance was exactly what needed to happen. We came out and we looked more assured on the ball, and we were willing to kind of have a wee bit more of an attacking focus at them. And I thought Wanyama was just phenomenal. I know he's mentioned Adam Matthews, and I thought Adam Matthews had a great game. He was getting played in the wrong side of the park, but Wanyama was up against possibly the 2 best midfielders in the world, Iniesta and Xavi, and he was brilliant. He bossed the midfield
For long periods of time, that's what I noticed.
Absolutely, first class.
He kind of came of age, you know. You just, I like Wanyama, but I always just thought he was quite raw and prone to the odd mistake and wayward pass, and he kind of ponders a bit. Whereas I think a game like this made him absolutely focused, you know. I don't think he lost his focus at all through the whole game.
An example of him not losing his focus was the fact that he didn't pick up a yellow card. So he picked up yellow cards in the other games, and if he'd picked up one on Wednesday night, he'd have been suspended for for Lisbon. So I was relieved to kind of see him get through the game, because I think we'll need him over in Lisbon against Benfica.
I mean, one of the other things I noticed, particularly about Miku and Samaras, Jim, what do you think about how they partnered up? It seemed to me, as Johnny said earlier, Hooper and the new camp, it was kind of pinging off him, and he really struggled to keep a hold of it. I mean, it was a lonely furrow he was ploughing up there. But with Miku and Samaras, it seemed to be it seemed to give us a bit of relief now and again.
It was something else. If we had had Sammy there, everything would have went to Sammy probably, and nobody would have done it. You know, they would just have gobbled up Sammy. I think with Miku and been there, they were thrown a wee bit maybe with him. I don't know if I'd say, got to get it in sometime. Do you remember the Wednesday before the game, when we were in Celtic Park in the lounge?
Well, you're right.
Mind the boy going about getting his giving the autograph.
Yes.
Right?
I'll show you the photo.
Right. Do you remember what I said to you? I says, Vincent, you go and get a photo taken with him, son, because he spends more time on the bench than you ever did. So Miku was a bit of a surprise.
It was a premonition.
It was a surprise, you know. So
He was going round all the lounges. We were in the lounges that game, so he was going round all the lounges, and they walked him up one side and then walked him back down the other, taking photos. He spent a lot of time. He spent a lot of time with
it was good.
all the fans and stuff. Right? So
Got to be surprised.
I mean, he was the only guy. I don't know if you heard the story after it. They were saying Lennon's asked anybody here that's ever bet Barcelona before, and he put his hand up. But it was actually him that told it. That's what it was. And then after it, he says, "No, I'm not the only one," type thing, you know. So, that was.
He scored a couple of goals against them last season, I'm sure.
I think he did.
They done well, as I said earlier. Kieran Wanyama, can't argue with that, but just because what's his name? Adam Matthews played out of position, I would give him the.
So we're all sitting there. We can't quite believe we're 1-0 up against Barcelona. I'm sitting with Sammy, who said before the game, all I wanted was a goal, and just to be able to celebrate a goal. And that happens now is a bonus. And what happens next? Well, actually, first of all, what was the change? Lustig off. What on,
aye.
And he made that quite strange. Well, no strange to anybody that knows anything about football, but to me, I would have thought he's pushed Ambrose.
You would have put Matthews on his inside.
You would have thought so.
But see, that's what I like managers. See, when you think you've got it right and he does something absolutely completely different from what you would ever dreamt of doing. It works. Martin Neil was great for it. And Neil Lennon, there you go. You would never have thought he would have brought the boy on. I thought maybe he would have brought another midfielder on to try and
showed up the midfield.
But
I thought he'd have brought Kaya on, actually.
Aye,
yeah.
But,
that would have been maybe.
Well, he did eventually brought him in nearly Celtic jerseys.
He did.
So what a bold move that is. You know, I mean, you're 1-0 up against Barcelona. You're at home. You're thinking, right, okay, we need. I think Lustig was he injured? He was injured, wasn't he? So he's took an injury.
He took an injury in the first half, actually, didn't
he?
He
took a knock. He was actually. It was during the second half. He was trying to shield the ball, and as it was going out for a shy, and he kind of fell over, and he never managed to kind of recover from it. He was holding his side for about the next 10 or 15 minutes, and then eventually, obviously, substituted him.
So that's the reason why Neil Lennon's the Celtic manager, isn't it? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
The reason why you moved Ambrose out to the right as well was to make sure that we had pace down the lines. So, as you say, maybe the most logical thing would have to move Matthews over to the right and maybe put Mulgrew.
Yep.
But you couldn't have left Mulgrew on the left hand side because he didn't have enough pace against the guy who was playing against. So what he tried to make sure was, right, I'll put Charlie in the middle of the defence where I don't necessarily need the pace, and I'll move Ambrose out to the right because he's a bit quicker, so that he still had the pace in the guys, the two full-backs against their two wide men. But bringing on, as you say, bringing on Watt wasn't a substitution that you would automatically think kind of Watt for the right back and then kind of shuffle them all around.
So what happened next game?
Unbelievable. I can't even remember. I just remember the big keeper blittering the ball and the Xavi going to get it, and he completely misjudged it. Completely misjudged it. And then all of a sudden Tony Watt's bearing down in the goal, and it was one of the ones you're like, oh no, I don't know if I can watch it. And then he absolutely
I
caught it with the laces. Right, one of the ones where you know yourself when you play football and you just catch it right in the sweet spot. He's just caught it right in the sweet spot and then both right in the bottom corner. And I tell you what, if there's any Barcelona supporters that were at that game in the stadium, then send us in what you thought when the second Celtic goal went in, because
the
Celtic
noise must
Park
have been more.
went
It must have
bedlam.
been more than the first one, eh?
Oh, it was.
Because it was an almost.
It
That,
was
how
mental.
incredible was that feeling about it as well?
You see it on TV, it shows you the Lisbon line stand,
Yeah.
and you can see boys flying for about 5 rows back, down to cuddle the boys about 5 rows in front of him, and just everybody's going after Heat. It was brilliant. It was amazing.
I fancied him as soon as it was through. If I could have picked them to that Celtic team to be in that position, it would have been him.
Take the young boy,
Aye.
because
Well,
he's
here's a
got
question.
no fear. No.
Aye, here's a
And he
question.
buried one up at Dundee United. and all.
Similar.
Power.
We had a chat about this today in terms of that's what I remember about James Forrest when he first came into the team. He never thought about anything. He just did it, and it was brilliant. And that's my only fear about what I don't want him to start. I do want him to coach him. I don't want him to lose that. But eventually, I suppose you've got to, because if he had actually thought, I'm running through Barcelona to go 2-0 up,
Aye,
he'd have fell on his backside, you know.
Sky that or something.
I completely agree with you. Just going back to what Kieran said though, the kind of noise at the second goal, it was, I mean, for me it was, we've scored again against Barcelona, but it was almost, we've done it, we've won the game now. It was that kind of feeling, wasn't it? Because it was like all of a sudden you thought, geez, oh man, you've been, you know, you've had, I don't know how many times I looked up at the blooming clock, it looked as if it was going backwards.
It did stop at
all
one
of a
point,
sudden you've scored again and you're 2-0 up, and it was a phenomenal feeling, absolutely incredible. Stadium
All I
went
saw
crazy.
was the Barcelona boys, Avi, or whoever it was, missing the ball and getting it. When he started to run in goals, everybody round about me stood up.
Aye.
So I couldn't see anything. So it was
Just
just,
stand up for.
they're nearly all bigger than me. And I just sat there like that, and then when the crowd went up, that was it. And I can't remember a thing after that, so don't bother asking me anymore. That goal went in. I saw Messi score his goal, but it was just a matter of shaking and saying, come on.
But actually, for the 5 to 10 minutes after that, it was just amazing. You know, the atmosphere and how much it was bouncing. And you did, although in the back of my mind, pessimist, I was thinking, right, if they score, we're in, it's going to be difficult. But for that period, you're just thinking, we're 2-0 up. I've not had a feeling like that for a long,
It's a wee
long
bit
time.
like Neil Lennon when we went 2-0 up, and then when they scored, I says, you're still going to get a draw out of this. You know, so that was still...
The fear
that was
returned.
enough, you know, that was
The
enough.
fear returned.
But, just to get a draw.
What was it like up your way, Johnny?
Oh, usual. It's always bedlam with Celtic score up there, way. Aye, it was good. The boy actually beside me was. I tell him, I says, this boy will bury this. I says he'll bury it, and me and him went off our heat, and there's Christopher and Ashley are in front of me. They're going nuts as well. Everybody round about us. It was great. I can't remember for the life of me celebrating a goal. Maybe when Nakamura scored against Manchester United, it was similar.
I remember that actually. Just the roar was absolutely.
I think as Stephen says, you're 2-0 up. You're thinking you're going to win, and there's only 7 minutes to go. I think that was what made it a bit more special. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I think the Nakamura goal was late on as well, wasn't it? I think that was.
81 minutes, 82
10
minutes, something like
minutes,
that.
And then naming up the part that night.
Because
Got a
after
penalty.
saved a pen after that, didn't
So it was. It was good. I loved it.
So what about your second chance then? Bad Caird, sending off?
Certainly kicked red card, no doubt.
I don't know if did he get to the box? I don't know if he got in the
No, he
box.
didn't get to the box.
No, he should actually scored. He was actually getting ahead of Mascherano, and I think he's tried to be clever and good in.
Aye, you're right.
Old heat and the young shoulders, but it never worked.
You think
This
so?
time,
I thought he caught him.
I've actually not watched that slow.
No, really,
I've not
it's
slowed it
no.
down
See when you see it again, it's
Aye.
no worth that.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought the the defender.
He could have scored.
He was pulling him and then also took his legs at one point as well.
We'll need to go and have a look at
Have
that.
a look.
Aye.
Have a look at it.
I don't think it was a penalty because I don't think he made
I
it.
don't think
it
he
was
never
in
got
the
in the box.
I don't think he was in the
But
box.
it was a sending off, and I don't think he should have been the only one that was sent off because the big boy that they hit in the middle of the park,
Song.
Song, should actually have been sent off twice,
Yep.
and he still managed to stay on the park.
That's right.
But I did notice a change in the referee after Celtic scored the second goal, and he started not giving Celtic many decisions. Almost as if he's like, there's a problem here. Barcelona
that's-
might get beat.
Aye,
That's
that
another
shouldn't be
thing.
happening,
That's
Kieran.
another thing I heard. It was Paul Larkin again,
Aye, I think
and he said the exact same thing.
Aye.
He says he reckons that he's like, I think the referee was winking out at that Barcelona bench to get him substituted because he did something.
Aye, substituted.
Aye.
See, within about 2 minutes of
Song,
his-
you talking about?
Aye,
Aye,
Song.
aye.
Within 2 minutes of the challenge that he put in, that he should have been sent off for. He was taken
was
off right
Taken
away.
off, aye.
Aye.
But
He was
I
lucky
did, I
not
did
to be sent
notice
off again.
that after Celtic's second goal that there was a change in the referee, and he stopped because up to that point I thought the referee had been
Good.
really fair, had called everything as he probably you would expect him to, but then after the second goal there was maybe 3 or 4 decisions where he called them all completely wrong, and the Tory Watt one. The guy behind the goals and the linesman and the referee were all within 30 to 40 yards of where he went through the back of him, and neither of them were given it.
So what's happening there then? Is that the fear? Is that the I don't want to be the referee that when Barcelona get beat I send somebody off as well? Is that? I mean, it's no good for my career for
I
Barcelona.
think if
to
you
get
look
beat,
into it as well, there's somebody mentioned something to me, and I can't really remember it. I think it was either AC Milan or Inter Milan against Barcelona, and he was a referee,
Uh-huh.
and he'd done something, 2 or 3 decisions completely in Barcelona's favour. And again before, if anybody's there and want to look it up, somebody told me this the next day.
I mean, I tend to agree with Kieran. I think up to then he had a fair game. He could have took stronger action, I think, against a few Barcelona players, and he chose not to. Fair enough. So we get to almost 90 minutes. What about the goal?
I don't know. There's not really much you can say about it. Barcelona class act. They pinged the ball about exactly what Johnny was talking about. They pinged the ball about at the edge of the box with the wee intricate passes. One of them fires a shot. The big keeper saves it, and before you know it, Messi was in
Pounced
top
on
of
it.
it.
Aye, he's pounced on it.
Nothing you can do to kind of stop that. But
So what are you thinking at that point?
At that point, everybody's thinking, "Oh no, no again."
Have you got the fear? That's when I had the fear.
So we're
I
getting
had
a
the
draw.
fear. Eh?
We're getting a draw.
Well, aye. But see, at that point, when I said to John Kelly, at that point, if we now draw this game, it'll feel as if we've lost it.
I would have, but at the same time, we'd still got a point against
Aye.
Barcelona.
And at that point, what, 4 minutes? I don't know where the 4 minutes came from.
Yeah, that was in the 91st minute, and he'd held up 4
4
minutes.
Aye, so still 3 to go.
How was the scarf?
Oh, demolished. I was on my 3rd scarf at that
Third
point.
scarf. You were borrowing scarves after people.
That was an every time, wasn't it?
They had a chance.
That's
Did
right.
aye.
I said they're going to have one more chance.
Ah.
And I don't know what's.
They had. I'm trying to think. Was it
the
Fabregas?
The big keeper just kind of, he was positioned right and just kind of
Aye.
caught it nice and easy and probably made it look easier than what it actually was. And then at that point, you're like, phew. But
The other
Aye,
thing,
it was-
going back to the, what we were saying there about how disciplined the performance was. Again, looking at the stats, one stat that hasn't been commented on was, we've only given away 10 free kicks the whole night, which, when you consider the players in the middle of the park that you're chasing, to only commit 10 free kicks
You've got
is, I think,
Somebody else
absolutely
commented on that
remarkable.
about, sorry Johnny,
I
about
can only
Real
remember
Madrid.
1 or 2 outside the box.
And when Real Madrid beat them, they kicked him off the park. Then that was their only way you kind of beaten them. So sorry Johnny, they were right.
I'm sure there was only one Celtic player booked. I'm sure there were 4 or 5 of them booked. I think it was it Lustig that got booked.
That's what I was going to say. Somebody had said to me, for to be under pressure for 75% of a game means you are defending or putting in tackles
the
and doing
tackles.
things. And I'm not sure that there was a booking Celtic player get booked.
One, I'm sure it was Mike.
There were very few fouls given against the Celtic players.
It was lenient with Commons. He could have
No, it
been
was.
booked early
I
doors.
tell you who got booked. It was Miku.
Miku,
For
so
a
it
challenge,
was, that's
challenged
right.
in the touchline,
Aye,
wasn't it?
it was a deserved booking. Aye.
Yep.
But it was lenient with Commons. He could have been booked early doors.
I think it might have been somebody like Collins or even Martin or somebody that said, well, with those possession stats, how good is that to score 2 goals out of that possession?
Aye,
Do you know?
Aye. That's your doom and gloom. Scottish mainstream media that's come out with all this garbage, isn't it?
Just on that then, so how do you think it's been reported then? Are they hurting? How much are they hurting?
Well, I'll tell you, the next day I had Talk Sport on all day and raved about Celtic. Even Durham. He hates Celtic. Well, it comes across as if he doesn't like the Celtic, but he was raving about them. Every day. In the morning, Andy Gray, Keys. Well, Alan Brazil wasn't on, but was it Ronnie Arani? Brilliant. Every day. Just raving about them.
What
The
about the
two,
written press? I don't buy so.
No, I never.
No, never. But the ones that impressed me as well were the two on Sky. I thought Redknapp and Neville were
Aye.
fulsome in their praise of Celtic. They really were. I mean, it was great. They went back to the studio and the pair of them were sitting, and wee Collins was in the middle with like the cheesiest smile you could. But no, they were glowing in the praise of the atmosphere, the performance at half time, and then at full time as well. They were really quite impressed by
Do you
us.
think they're going to attract any Barcelona players want to play for Celtic in that kind of atmosphere? Because they all tweeted and spoke about it afterwards.
I think it was Gary Neville's. I love him on his analysis
very good, isn't he?
with the football,
Yeah.
and he was really complimentary to Celtic. He really was.
Was he
How-
playing in the
how-
Nakamura game?
He was, aye, because he made reference to that at one point.
Aye, that's right. He was raving. So was the other boy, Redknapp as well.
So does that mean, I mean, seriously, but is there a better atmosphere then if these guys who have travelled the world, is there a better atmosphere than at Parkhead at its height? Imagine if it was a complete ball.
I've been in a few grounds. It's never. But I've been in that I've heard anything like that. No
It's just
chance.
fantastic to see all these guys talking about Parkhead like that. Do you know what I mean? And after the match, and actually another thing that Lennon had said after it, Neil Lennon had said, was just about how gracious they are in defeat as well. And that's something he wants to learn. No an easy thing. As a club.
They're brilliant, because they were, all the directors went to the centenary mass the night before it.
Right.
They're a great club.
So in terms of are they hurting, I took a wee note about that then. What about did them read the written press? Jim, I think you're a tabloid person.
I'm their tabloid man, and
How was the written press with the hurting?
they were hurting, but there were a few digs that you can bet your boots. They're there. That game didn't last as long as it. Remember Stephen saying that he's still up there. The time it came to Friday's papers, it was all by.
It's finished.
All done. All we could talk about was Rod Stewart.
Well,
You can tell him I want my hanky back.
How good was Rod Stewart? That was
I
hilarious.
don't read them either, but somebody told me that the day after the game, it was the main thing in the paper was Hearts were going bust.
Well, that took it away quick. But the day after the game, on the Thursday, the press was, the coverage was good because, they couldn't hide it. So they had to comment on it. They had to
write
put
some.
all the photos in and everything like that. But I'm saying it didn't last very long. Tony says maybe it was the Hearts that took you off talking about, And then we get back to the zombies.
I was out driving last night and I put that. I don't know why I did it. You're in the car, no?
I know. Get a podcast on.
I will have done that tonight. So it was Kieran to usual suspects. They had Lennon away to a Premiership club. When Yama's a certainty to go. Adam Matthews, Joe, they're all away.
They're all away.
And they'll get all this money in, they'll just go out, they've got the best scouting, you know what I mean? The doom and gloom, it's unbelievable.
You can only
man.
take, I mean, you can dip in and out of it for 5 or 10 minutes,
it's-
but don't stay in there for too long, Johnny, you'll corrupt yourself.
I know, I mean,
Okay, I mean, I think we've nearly done an hour on the Barcelona game.
I know there's still an hour to come.
There's still an hour to go in the Barcelona game. We'll get a row if we don't talk about anything else. But just to wrap up this first section, just one comment from each of you just about Neil Lennon, kind of in a broader sense in terms of tactics and how well he did for this game, Stephen.
I don't think it's just this game. I think it's the 2 games against Barcelona, isn't it? Just absolute masterstroke. You know, better than him have tried and failed to contain Barcelona. And over 2 games, you know, there was this tweet that was doing the rounds. But you know, over 2 games against Barcelona, they've been ahead of us for 5 seconds. It's you know. When you think, but for having held out for another few seconds in the new camp, you know you're taking 4 points from 6 from them. Absolutely, you know, it's his attention to detail for me over those 2 games. You know, we spoke about the substitutions earlier on. You know, they've been planned. He's thought that out. He's thought every single part of that game out. He's thought, okay, what am I doing if at 65 minutes we're a goal up? What sub am I making? What change am I making? Perfectly thought out.
Brave.
Perfectly executed by the players as well, you've got to say.
I think he was brave in some of the...
Aye, absolutely.
That was the
everything.
feeling I got. I just felt as if, what a bold move, and I think quite a lot of the, you know, educated onlookers were thinking,
what's he doing?
Like,
Aye.
okay, he's injured, what would you do next?
Mm-hmm.
Bring what on? Bring a young, 19-year-old?
oh, it's phenomenal what the manager's done. But he is a clever guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Aye.
the media will not tell you, the mainstream will not tell you, he is a
He is
clever guy.
intelligent, aye.
Our first game was a way back, wasn't it? We played Helsinki 2-1. You were worried about going over there.
Mhm.
We came through that away from home. Then we were quite comfortable again at Helsingborg. So he's really set his stall out to get into this, to get to this stage, because the players are a lot fitter. They knew as they were at this stage last year. They struggled for a wee while. In fact, we were 15 points behind, if I'm right in saying that. So,
And I think we'll maybe develop this a wee bit further maybe later on, but the very fact that they've brought in, for example, this new guy,
John McGuinness.
who sports psychology and all that, he's open to new ideas. He's certainly he's not kind of he's not that arrogant way that do you know, I know everything, and he's open to, he's growing, and it's great to actually be able to watch it.
Aye. The other thing about it is the players have got 100% trust in them. You can see that with the way they're playing. You know the dressing room's fine.
You could see the bond at full time as well when he came on the
he
park.
came
He
on.
was like bear hugging
That's
every
right,
single
aye.
one of them.
I think as well our participation in the Europa League last year has helped with Lennon's development as a manager. That's then helped him take the step up in Champions League football this year, in terms of this is how you prepare for a European game, and just even things round about tactics. And I think it's clear to see, and I think I've mentioned this in a couple of podcasts in the past, Neil Lennon is a manager who is learning from mistakes and learning as he goes along, and he's not making the same mistake twice. I mean, he's continuously getting better and better and better, and long may it continue, and long may he
But
kind
that's
of be
That's
sticking
hard
around
enough.
with us.
That's hard enough at where most managers learn their trade, which is probably lower leagues. To be doing that at one of the biggest clubs in Europe almost, to actually be doing that in that kind of eye and the scrutiny that he now gets, it's quite unbelievable. Jim, final word on Barca
And Neil,
and Neil.
well, that's what, 2 games we've played them, 2-1 in each game. It's even Steven. So when it comes to the decider, which I think will be Wembley,
25th of May.
I think I'll have every confidence that Neil Lennon's a better manager
got
than
the measure.
Barcelona's manager.
He's got the measure of him.
Barcelona might be a better team than Celtic,
Uh-huh.
but their manager's not as good as ours.
Right, and on that note, we'll move on to the next section.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
Okay, that was Barcelona. So from the highs of Barcelona, next up was St.Johnstone. What can you tell me about St.Johnstone, Stephen? Pre-match atmosphere, display in the stadium. What was the crowd like?
It was my summary of yesterday was not unexpected at all. Actually, I kind of went along yesterday. Everyone's nodding. Went along yesterday expecting exactly what we got. It must be so difficult for the players coming from. It would have been so difficult anyway coming from that high to playing St Johnstone, even if the stadium was full and bouncing. That would have been hard enough anyway. Mm-hmm. But the fact it was, it was flat. It was very quiet. I think I was even sitting there knackered. I don't know what the players were like.
It must be mentally.
It must be absolutely exhausting for them.
Aye, mentally. But I think.
Well, playing devil's advocate then, that was Tuesday night. This was Sunday afternoon.
Wednesday.
night.
Sorry?
Wednesday.
Right, sorry. Aye, sorry. And we're at the day of the game. Should we be expecting a bit more than that, given the size of your squad?
Listen, I know everybody's saying wasn't a great performance in that yesterday, but I've seen a lot worse.
Aye.
I mean, you've got to give credit to St Johnstone. I thought they played really well. The wee number 11 was the best player in the park.
Aye.
He ran as ragged.
Hasselbank.
Aye.
I mean, it wasn't the worst performance I've ever seen.
So in the lineup, the only change was Lustig out and Brown in, is that right?
Aye, that's what I meant earlier on. I thought that was that game we were talking about, Scott Brown.
Well
done, John.
Covered your tracks, Johnny. I think we'll go back and check that. I'm not sure if it is that.
I just think everything was dead yesterday. It was just nothing. The whole, you're just talking about atmosphere and getting into the game, there was nothing. We got into Parkhead, there was nothing. Whereas Wednesday, they were jumping in the middle of the afternoon in the state,
Incidentally, why
Was that just me?
Why was our game moved to 3 o'clock on the Sunday?
I
Because
think
of
it was
the
to do
zombies.
with the zombies playing in
So
Glasgow
why
at the
did we
same
not
time.
take precedence over a dead club who are playing in the 3rd division?
It's happened. That's the second time it's happened this season.
Probably giving us a wee bit extra time because we played in the Wednesday.
We'll see if they give us extra time when we're on our way to Wembley.
I don't think.
Aye, in the cup final the
I
next
don't
day.
think they were playing in Europe during the week. I think that's maybe something to do with it. I don't think they had a European game. So first half chances.
I think my only surprise yesterday, in hindsight looking back, I was absolutely expecting Watt to be starting again.
Start the game.
Although, I was speaking to the folk kind of round about me and we were kind of chatting about that, and again, you've maybe got to hand that to Lennon. Maybe he's just trying to keep the boys' feet in the ground, but a complete, within the first 5 minutes of the second half, he'd kind of transformed the match, really, scored the goal, and we started looking a lot busier up front.
Brave. He was brave at the goal.
He
That's
was.
another thing.
He was.
Aye.
Brave.
Again, it was a great ball, Charlie Mulgrew. Great ball in. And he went. My surprise in terms of the lineup was I just thought, as much as I got the Barcelona one rang, I just didn't expect them to go with virtually the same lineup against St Johnstone. It was going to be a completely different game, you would suspect. So he kind of went with, and maybe he's thinking, I don't know, he's changed it before and been caught out.
But as Kieran says, he'll learn for that. I think he has maybe.
I think he's still trying to find it. He's thinking, right, after a European game, do I change it on, bring in fresh legs, or do I try and stick with what I've got and just keep it going?
It's because what was the last result? Because we've lost 14 points. We get beat
We would come on after
2-0.
2-0.
And before that, I think we've struggled every time we've played.
After Europe.
Aye.
But we always,
So
that's always been the case.
Aye, but see, that's a thing. As you say, he's always learning. I hope he really gets that one together because when you think about it, it's only the usual suspects that do that. Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid. They
Okay.
bounce back and win their league game.
What would you,
A lot of
what would you
teams
think?
struggle.
What are you advocating then? Lots of changes. Stick with what you've got.
I think it's I mean, it must be physically, mentally draining for them. That concentration, keeping the shape, and then you've got the freedom to attack. I mean, you're the home team in the SPL. You're expected to win. The crowd's expecting you to win. Forward, forward, forward.
And you've got a team that's playing. They're going to play at a high tempo. They've had a week to prepare. They're up for it.
It's hard. It must be hard. I mean, I dare say they had the day off on Thursday, eh?
No, they definitely did. I think they'd maybe 2 days off. The thing, I can understand it a bit more when they've been flying. You know, you can understand if they're away for a 2-3 hour flight, you've got everything run about that, all the travelling, you're staying away, you're staying somewhere different. What I'm less willing to accept, I think, is when it's at home. You're going home to your own bed, you're getting a day off your work. Do you know what I mean? You're a professional footballer.
He didn't get him there in bed, they all went to the Corinthians. His big Eve Ambrose never got in because he was still wearing his tracksuit.
Is that right?
They're saying, you know, the day off and things like that, but Stephen has said he's still coming down to earth. So they were the boys that done it. So it must be very hard for them.
I'll tell you, it was very
to
hard.
pick themselves up because it's
Right.
flat. You know, the league and that, it's flat now.
What's very hard, sorry Stephen, what's very hard for me, I think, is to put myself, and this is showing my age, put yourself in an 18, 19, 23, 24-year-old's mind. Because I'm actually thinking now, me with my experience and, you know, at my age, I'm thinking, right, these guys should be focused, they should be delivering, and you forget what age they are. And what you were like at that age. I'm not just looking at you, Johnny, I'm looking at everybody. What do you think?
I think it might have suited us actually at the weekend had we been away from home. Wee bit more atmosphere, wee bit more of an edge to the game as well. But you're totally right. You know, you're talking about a team with an average age of 23, 24. I mean, the average age of the team that played against Barcelona was 24. You know, so. But it must just be so difficult for us. It's difficult for us as supporters going along to that. So it must be difficult for them, you know, coming down for the high of the midweek before. But we've got a couple of fixtures coming up over the next few weeks to focus the attention. I mean, we've got Pittodrie, and then we've got Tynecastle.
Maybe.
Let's take the money.
And I agree with you, and I said maybe that's the one thing we've watched, as Johnny said earlier about Neil Lennon, we've watched Neil Lennon, and Kieran said it as well, and he's learning and he's getting better. This is the one that he's struggling with, but there's a part of me does feel quite confident he'll get it right. Do you know, he'll find that, he'll find the right formula for what happens when we come back off a result like that. You know, the absolute euphoria of that. And he's done it himself. I mean, he's been in teams that's had to do that.
That's right. Aye, that's another thing. He's played the Champions League. He knows it. I think that was how that. There are no many managers of
Played in Champions
big
League and
teams,
managed, done it.
No.
Yeah.
The Barcelona boy, he done it the last.
So we don't want to spend too much time, but we'll quickly talk about their goal. Hasselbank. I mean, they put it away well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's, by the way, just
Big
before it, the
Big
Big Foster
Foster
had a
made
world class save.
That's right.
Aye, it was, wasn't it?
But that wee guy was the best player in the park yesterday. Ran his cell into the ground. I
That
think
was a
they
good
eventually
turn
took him off.
shot,
didn't they?
wasn't it?
Oh, it was a great
It was a bit unfortunate for Foster to make a great save like that, and yet
and then
a couple of minutes later,
Aye, the wee boys buried
But,
it. Aye.
they also had a good chance for a penalty. And although I don't like saying it, but maybe I agree with the laptop loyals this time, I think there might have been a penalty.
Aye.
And Big Effie took down Nadie, but
I didn't watch it again. I was watching it online, so I
it's
didn't
the only
watch
time
it
I've
again.
ever seen Nadie not get anything off a referee.
Well,
Tell you, honestly.
and who was the referee again? It was
Thompson, I think. No, it was
No,
Brian's.
Brian.
Brian.
was
So,
him.
yeah. Okay, so just to wrap that up, so we're sitting second with a game in hand. Is anybody starting to panic? Everybody comfortable with that? Anybody worried about the league form?
I think given the context of what else is going on at the moment, we're more than happy with that, aren't we?
That's all right.
Definitely, aye. I mean, I think, is it Hibs top of the league?
Aye.
So we're due to go there, aren't we?
Aye,
Go
we're
there
due
between
to
Christmas and
December.
New Year.
Aye.
So that if they keep it up, that should be a good game to go to.
Do we go there between Christmas and New Year? So we've got
The
Dundee and
Sat-
Boxing Day, and then there's
and
another
then
game
The
on the Saturday. Right?
Aye.
Just need to go on a run. We've not went on a run.
Aye,
So there's
but
no panic. There's no panic here. Don't worry.
no panic, but we've got a hard
Hard
few
couple
weeks
of games.
ahead.
Had
aye.
a few games. Okay, we'll just briefly talk about the next game, which is Aberdeen. Then we'll wrap this section up. Johnny, you heading up to Aberdeen?
Believe it or not, the confirmations are on
Oh, you're joking.
Saturday. Have you ever heard of that before?
Have you spoke to Father None?
I'm going to speak to Joseph Devine when I see him on Saturday. When's the confirmation?
But that still wouldn't have
I
put you.
will.
That still wouldn't have put you off
I
in
think
the
it's
past.
Joseph Devine you need to speak to, because I don't think Father would definitely do it.
Aye,
No,
I
no,
think
no.
he's retiring. I
Aye,
think
he's
that's
retiring,
why.
and all the confirmations this year in all the parishes on Saturdays.
Aberdeen, the odd days. Best day out
I know,
in
aye.
the calendar.
So you're actually no going to the game, but
Can't go, it's Cara, isn't it? If it
I
was
know,
a
but I'm
niece,
just-
if it was a niece or
It's
nephew-
a chosen one. It's a chosen one. With Christopher. It's like,
no.
Ah, but it's Johnny we're talking about. He's missing a game.
It's no.
aye, we're all missing it today because it's Aiden's.
So they're on a good wee run. They're sitting just behind us. They're on our
Aye, they
coattails
are,
point
aye.
behind
Aye,
them.
they were my tip for second place.
Wee McGinn's batting them in for fun, and I think he scored.
He's
Aye.
broke a
Scored a goal in every
equalled
game
a
for the last
record.
6
Aye.
games.
8 games.
8 games, is it?
Aye.
Something
He's
like
equalled a record.
7 out of 7, and then a league.
He'll no
Couple
score on
games or
Saturday.
something.
He'll no want to score against us.
So Stephen, is this the game that you were thinking would probably have been a better one for us to have with a bit of an edge to it? And
To be honest, although it's a tough game, I'm actually glad that it's on the horizon for us. I think it's a nice focus, and I think the players just seem to be rising to the bigger occasions, and I think Pittodrie's one of them.
Do you think he'll go with the strongest team on Saturday with the kind of mindset that we're obviously in Lisbon on the Tuesday night, and a point in Lisbon would potentially
a score draw
could be enough to put us through.
a score draw will go through.
So I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that he'll play all the big guns on Saturday. I think he might.
Would they sacrifice it? Would
He
they?
might rest a couple of key individuals in the hope that.
The nice thing is, though, you'd like to think that he could rest 3 or 4 and still be really strong on the side. You know, you've got guys like Kyle that can't get on the side at the moment, for example.
Champ with a bit.
Throw him in. I thought maybe he could have played Paddy McCourt. He's not really featured Paddy, I think. Maybe been his way out there.
I think he's in his way.
I don't know.
out,
We've been
yeah.
saying that for a wee while, but he seems to hang in there.
He's got a song, that's how. But I thought maybe he
Even
could have
get
threw him
verses,
in on Saturday there, no? Gave somebody a wee rest. But he's got a few injuries as well. Hooper's injured, the other striker's injured.
Aye, I would like to have seen a bit more of Osad. He's still injured, isn't he? Yeah. I'd like to look at him. But I mean, now's the time to. That's why we've got a big squad.
Aye.
But I don't know. What are you thinking? Don't make a lot of changes, or have Tuesday in mind?
I would pick a couple of key guys that I would maybe rest. I'd maybe rest Wanyama on Saturday and keep him for the.
It'll be a physical
Tuesday
game up
night.
there, right enough. It always is. It's always hard at Pittodrie.
Because I think next Tuesday nights are just an absolutely massive game for us.
So Tuesday night, St Mary's. I think we're hitting the Royal Borough.
Oh, someone's
So I'm just wondering-
someone's will be hitting Lisbon.
Are you off there?
Aye, we're
Kieran's off there. We'll hear all about that, Kieran, when you're next on.
Get some
Okay.
recordings while you're over there.
Aye, aye.
Okay, I think that'll wrap up this next section.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, 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 tock.
Okay, the next section we'll head up. It's hot topics. So this is some information that's been passed to me by the boss. So he's looking to tell you all about the shambolic crew heading into the Bampot party for Paul Larkin's book launch by any means necessary, and that's on the 24th of November. Who's all going to that? I'm going to that.
I'm going to
Johnny?
that, aye.
No. So I think we've got a wee posse heading in there. Latest books about Paul's eventful recent life, and also the story of Carl-Luc Shamrock and Tic Talk, and a few of us get a mention in it. And I've yet to get my book, but you can get
I've read it.
You can pick
Read
this
it,
book
aye.
up at lulu.com and from Amazon. Anybody who's read it, Jim?
I've read it.
Johnny?
Johnny, nice.
Good read.
Ah, that's excellent, aye.
I'm going to get a hoddy. I might try and get a signed copy if the great man
Well,
will sign it for me.
Richard had said to me to see him if I was getting any more. to see him about it when he's getting in there. And he's going to try and get him to sign it. So
There we are.
I'll get a few signed.
Nice
Just,
one. So we'll look forward to
it's a good read, but for an old deep dyed in the wool fiend like myself, there's some few words in it I'm looking
Aye. Yeah, there is actually.
Some choice language.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
but the
Choice situations as well.
Aye. Well, that was worse because the Edinburgh Mr. Mooney says, that's the way we talk in Edinburgh. The C word gets used quite a lot.
Aye.
So not for the faint-hearted, but a great read. Aye.
I think maybe this day and age you could get over it. But I mean, even
Sure he
Johnny
will,
says
sure
there's
he
a few
will.
situations. So
Oh, that's-
Okay, second hot topic from the boss is shout out to Chris McGuigan of the Lost Boys, who bumped into Audrey Gorman of this parish, or once of this parish in Cheltenham, and he found out she was fake Carluke. Immediately asked about Shambolic Carluke Shamrock, so and Audrey could tell her all about us. So that was a good.
Paul
wanted
was
a
on the
shout.
bus the other night.
Aye, so he was. Paul
Paul
came into
Gorman.
the game. He never got a ticket, didn't he? No, he ended up watching it in the pub.
The Barcelona game. Did
Aye.
he not get a ticket?
He
No.
never got one.
I says to him, I says, you need to give us more time and we'll get you a ticket.
I think he was a wee bit lucky in that.
He bet Celtic actually.
Aye, he did.
I think he would have been a wee bit lucky at the weekend, and maybe that's why he came up, because you know what Paul's like for buying a ticket.
He's got some unusual methods of getting into games.
Well, he thought
Well,
he
it
could
didn't
come up
work
here
this
and
time.
go and get a
Didn't
tout.
work.
He says, you know how many touts up here, mate?
He managed to rob a tout in Seville when we were with him. Just grabbed the ticket off the boy and sprinted right into the crowd.
Yes.
And we were actually with Paul and Audrey before the match, and we went for a meal and stuff. And all day Paul walked about with this wee kind of tiny gold football, and he just kept on saying all day, when you see this on the park, you'll know I'm in the ground. And we're like, aye, whatever, Paul, aye, right, okay. And that's all he kept on saying, when you see the wee ball and coming onto the park, then you'll know I'm in the ground, because they'd one ticket and he'd given it to Audrey, and he was convinced I'm definitely going into the game. And just as the teams were running out onto the pitch, all you see is this wee gold ball bouncing onto the halfway line. I'm like, he's must have getting out of that, or somebody's as daft as him and had the same idea. And it turns out he managed to nab a ticket off a ticket tout outside the ground, and it happened to be in one of the kind of lounges. So
Good enough for the ticket
I
touts.
think he enjoyed
Good enough for
himself.
them. Okay, the final piece of information is that Tic Talk's iTunes feed will be turned off in a week's time, so all listeners should ensure they're downloading directly from the Hail Hail Media feed at hailhailmedia.com. So I'll need to speak to Richard about that to work out how I get mine, because mine is all iTunes. So I'll speak to him about that later on.
I'll need
Okay.
to get him to write me a letter to tell me how to switch it on.
Okay, and our final section is Shambolic.
Shambolic.
Thanks, Chico. So the subject I flung your way this week was chants, your favourite chants for Celtic players and your favourite chants against opposition players. Now I'm going to kick you off with a couple of my personal favourites. I've got a very early memory of Roy Ayton charging forward for Celtic, or going into a 50-50 challenge, or even a 60-40 against, and probably still winning it, to the chant of Feed the Bear. Who remembers Feed the Bear?
Feed the bear, brilliant. Absolutely.
I remember Feed the Bear before Roy Aitken.
Uh-huh.
Big Yogi.
Oh, was he the original
John
Bear?
Hughes. The John Hughes way back.
No, it was the song, but did he get the same song?
Oh, he got Feed the Bear.
right.
Aye. The original John Hughes. No, the one that came from Edinburgh. The one that came from Coldbridge.
So that's one of my earliest
I'm
memories.
sure he was Feed the Bear.
Uh,
He was opening the gates or no?
another one that I quite liked, actually, just because I thought it was quite narky, was Tommy Burns, so does Pete, so does Cole. Remember that? That always stuck in my mind because I thought it was quite clever. And I've got two for the opposition players, which are probably the funnier, and Celtic fans are actually particularly quite clever about this. Davy Dodds the Elephant Man, I remember that. Davy Dodds the Elephant Man. I liked that one. Just it was quite cruel, but I still
I
liked
don't
it.
think so. I think it was perfect.
What about Alfie Cohen?
I used to be a hun, but he's all right now.
I like that
That
one.
was
I
my
do like
favourite.
that. I do like that one. And another particularly memorable chant, questioning Ian Durrant's sexuality involving a rental fee that I couldn't possibly repeat on air. Remember that one? And we'll not sing it. We'll not sing
That
it.
still gets an occasional airing, actually, doesn't it? Aye. It
Oh,
does.
he's still there, isn't he?
So, Johnny, what's yours?
Sir
Well,
Walter's
that was my favourite one, and the David Dodds one. Just trying to think off the cuff. Most of them you could repeat, but
Can't
a few
repeat on
games
air.
over the years. Aye.
Jim?
Oh, I couldn't really remember any of it. Did I hear you saying that one, Johnny? But
Alfie Cohen.
I don't know, because it just sprung to my mind.
He used to
quite
be a
quick.
hun, but he's all right now.
The one that Kieran said there, you'll be watching the ball when we're in Seville. You know?
That was a good one. I remember that one. Particularly if he stole yours,
I,
Kieran.
well, I
Just
thought you
stole
had done your turn. You were in there quicker. You walked
One
about with the
of, one
good
of the
ones.
ones I remember, and unfortunately they did do 9 in a row, but it was the Paolo Di Canio song that we had. You think you are great, but you've only get 8, and you'll never get 9 in a row. And I just remember the first time we sang that song, and we were at Easter Road, and we sang it for about the last 30 minutes of the game, just constant. And it was loud as anything. It was fantastic, and I thought that's a great song. In terms of ones against, it's not against players, but rather against the dead club across the other side of the city. Was can you see a handsome one? Which I used to have great pleasure in singing to a couple of guys that I went to uni with, and it used to absolutely send them over the edge.
Have you seen a handsome one?
Have you seen a handsome one? And they used to go absolutely ballistic. They hated it. And at one point, one of them said to me, "I hate when you sing that song." And I'm like,
Brilliant.
Brilliant, that's it. I was like, every time I see him now, I'm like, "Can you see a handsome one?"
31 again. It's in your era, so you should be all right. What about if the ball's in the net and it's not George Cadet, it's Di Canio.
It's Dick.
Aye, if the ball's in the air and it's not Big
Yeah,
Pierre,
it's
Di
Di
Canio.
Canio.
That's right. The one that's just jumped into my mind, it's for a wee while back, right enough. It's not particularly witty or anything, but I do remember enjoying belting it out. Was from the centenary season. We'd gone to Ibrox in that infamous game where there was 25 players up in court after it or whatever it was, and Roberts had been conducting the choir, conducting the Billy Boys. So in the return game, which was a New Year game at Celtic Park, McAvenny scored in the second half to make it 2-0 with a header, and Roberts had ended up in goals again, as he had the corresponding game in the October. And I was in the jungle that day. I can just remember the entire ground. He was plonked in his arse, ball behind him. He didn't move. And Graham Roberts was a merchant banker for about half an hour after that. It was absolutely brilliant. That was one of the good get it right up you moments.
There was one when we played them, and it wasn't that long ago. Maravchik was playing against the Celtic Park, and they were all singing "Lubo's a Gypsy," and every Celtic fan to a man, I swear to God, hit them with, "I would rather be a gypsy than a hun." Honestly, right back at them.
I've always just felt that, and it is unique to Celtic. The wit, and it's clever.
There's a
it's
few I
just
could say,
clever.
but there's too many bad words in them. I can't
Like
repeat.
an X-rated podcast, because they had quite a few that were kind of. I remember just thinking that what was the one they had for Nakamura?
Nakamura ate my dog.
Just
Brilliant, eh?
Great thinking, and a lot. Every time you get in for them, it's a lot of great thinking. Everyone's original.
So is some of these chants fairly new? Jim, what was it like back in the day then? What were the Lions? Did the Lions have any kind of clever chants of that, no?
I think chants, really,
Yeah.
can I think of chants for?
Champions of Europe.
Well,
That's not a bad one.
just like that all the time, you know, it's just the chants was, but you know what Celtic supporters are like, no matter what the occasion is, they'll make up a song. That's what I was saying about theirs are all original, but you'll not get a Celtic game that is famous or anything like that without them having a chant or a song about it. I mean, it was 7 past 11.
7 past.
7 past 11.
There was mind a few years ago they struggled to beat Forfar. I think 2 or 3 games to beat them, and they were singing Rangers and Bridies don't go. I was at a broth. I was at a broth one game, I know, years ago, and they started. What is it? You get up there.
Kippers.
No, Smokies.
Smokies.
Stick your Smokies up your arse. Brilliant.
Quality.
The Green Brigade come out with some good ones though, don't they? They're sort of, you know, even the lateral movement in the Champions League.
That's the one I loved, actually. I just loved that because it's just so clever, like, you know what I mean? And they just done a wee bit of lateral movement, you know, is that what you kind of tease?
They're good, aren't they?
And isn't so straightforward, but isn't the, you know, come on you boys in green for one into the stadium with other, that is
I mean, I
just
just wondered,
brilliant.
was that, did they see that anywhere or something similar anywhere first? Where did that actually come from? It was just fantastic.
Rumours that some of the stuff was done at Manchester City.
Right.
Some of the songs, I can't remember if it's that one.
Or did they not steal the huddle? Did they not start doing the huddle in there or something?
They stole it for.
They call it the
Poznan.
Poznan or something like that. Cause
The Green Brigade were doing that when Tony Mowbray was there. So, they boys are good.
Actually, you've just reminded me of a good one. It was Alan Stubbs. That was the one to the tune of "It's in Your Head, Zombie."
He's in your
We
box.
sang "He's in Your Box." Stubbs, eh? I think that was me that actually made that up. Me and Sammy.
I'll tell you, he's no longer with us, David Duddy. You'll mind of David.
God bless him, aye.
See the song that they sing the Aberdeen fans. Well, the first time I ever heard that, and it was him that started it.
Oh, man's that?
Yeah.
What?
Sheep. Oh, the sheep.
Oh,
and he was the first that I ever heard singing that. Aye.
think he wrote that. Well, we credit him with that.
Aberdeen got David a credit for that one, aye. And it's still here to this day.
it is, they actually sing it about themselves now, don't they? They're that paranoid about it.
They have blow up sheep as well now, don't they? I'm raging I'm not going there on Saturday, by the way.
It's Johnny's saying a lot of the chants that we can remember against them and with them against us and things like that. We can't repeat them. But I would just advise people that if they want to hear them, ask Paul Larkin. If someone would make him blush.
I can always mind the song they sang about Derek Johnson and they sang it about Frank McGarvey.
Aye.
I was in the enclosure at Ibrox one day and McGarvey's coming out and he's walking out and he's got his finger to his lips and he's like, shh. To all us, we were all to the left hand side of the old enclosure at Ibrox. Then he ran onto the park and there you go. As soon as he got on the park, he got it.
He's like, I knew it was coming.
As if it was Kieran, what I mean. Brilliant.
Okay, well, I think the boss will be expecting us to wrap up now. And on that note, I'm Vincent, Vincenzo Sir on Twitter, and our panel tonight have been
Kieran.
Johnny.
Mr. C.
Stephen.
And a hail to you all. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
The thing I want to see the most is the Glasgow Celtic score. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I've shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide tin parade.